Tug Rose. Tug Rose. Tug Rose indeed. Welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk episode 88. This is Noel O'Keefe and I am joined as always by the beautifully handsome Robert Palin.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for having me. And we are brought to you, as always, by Fight Star Ireland, the fighter's choice, everything you need under two roofs. MMAmix.com. They're obviously good because they're with Obviously Fight Talk. Go and check them out. They share all our stuff. You've probably hit their link to watch us.
Possibly.
Check them out. And then, of course, www.feelsupreme.co.uk for CBD oil and many organic and natural supplements and Whole Foods. And if you want 10% off, just use their code FightTalk at the checkout and you get it.
It's ours.
What a weekend of fights, Rob. What a week. It was the MMA gods shined their light on us and they blessed us with UFC 217. But let's look ahead to the show. We will be joined later on by SBG fighter Luka Jelcic, who is an absolute stone cold killer and one hell of a nice guy. We're going to be in referee's corner with Daniel Movahedi talking about everything that went on. There was a lot. Bryce was busy. So was Dan Movahedi in referee's corner. We will then be recapping UFC 217. It warrants something brilliant. So we said, let's get Brendan the best. What an intro. The best. Not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's no one better. Brendan Dorman. And we will also have with Brendan Darren Russell. But Rob, it's making a return.
It's making a return.
It's back.
It's back.
I'm getting nostalgic. We're going to start it off with Obviously Fight Talk quick fire news. Yeah! What? We're going to start where we used to always start, with the Obviously Fight Talk quick fire news. I feel sentimental.
I know, she's back.
2 minutes on the clock. UFC 217 wasn't the only MMA event last weekend. Bellator 186 went down on Friday and saw Ryan Bader successfully defend his title against Linton Vassell and Lima Lee McFarlane becoming the inaugural Bellator Women's Flyweight Champion. Did you watch it? Did you thank me for watching it on Wizard TV, even though you found the channel?
I watched it legally. What are you talking about? I watched Bellator legally in Ireland.
Yes. No,
because it's possible.
I did OSN watch. Sports. Is what I did watch.
Yeah, it was a good card. I think the main event, great performance by Ryan Bader. Yeah. The co-main event, it was a typical Phil Davis performance, but it was a good performance. Phil Davis. McFarlane, good win, scrappy win, but she got that win over the rematch and she won the title. Good victory for her. What else was on the card? You have the card there. Do I? You do have the card. I included it somewhere.
Again, yeah, here it is. Here. Sorry, apologies. So we had Ed Ruth.
Ed Ruth.
Yeah, that was the flying knee, was it? No, who was the flying knee?
The flying knee was earlier in the. Yes. Ed Ruth was I think it was a left hook it was a right, kind of a right straight overhand. It was a weird knockout. Good victory for Ed Ruth. Ed Ruth is a serious prospect. There was a couple of people, rightfully in my opinion, talking about how this could be a really bad thing for Ed Ruth because he might fall in love with his hands. And he does still have a lot of work to do there. It's clear to see.
Yes.
But his wrestling's phenomenal. I just hope that he doesn't rely on the big power that he has, because he certainly has a lot of power. It's just the problem is with these guys who are incredible wrestlers, a lot of the time you have a great punch because a lot of wrestling is using your hips, so you have that great hip power. So he has that there.
Showed not too long
exactly. He has, but obviously Aaron Pico's a different style because he has a boxing background too. So I just hope he doesn't fall in love with that big right hand. But great performance.
Out, would have fallen in love with it.
Yeah, 100%. But I just hope he continues to use his wrestling because that's his bread and butter.
You got to say though, looking at Ryan Bader, it was a stunning performance.
Yeah.
Big finish. Linton Vassell, obviously a two-time guest here, so we had, as Brendan Dorman will always say, we had a dog in the race. Our dog was Linton Vassell, but unfortunately he came up. Ryan Bader is one of the top in the world. There's no ifs, ands or buts about it. But Lindsay Vassell just fell short on the night. Well, I say just fell short. Ryan Bader was phenomenal. The latest BAMMA Bellator co-promotion goes down this Friday night in Dublin's 3 Arena with BAMMA 32 and Bellator 187. On the BAMMA side of things, it's headlined by Andy Young taking on Daniel Perez for the BAMMA flyweight title, and AJ McKee takes on Brian Moore. The latest updates on the card as of Monday, the 6th of November. Paul Redmond is in against Sergio de Jesus Santos, and unfortunately Ryan Curtis has been withdrawn from the card. No word if a replacement has been found for Charmaine. What are we thinking, Rob?
On the withdrawals and the additions first, Paul Redmond, it's great to see him on the card. Just coming off the KSW fight, he wanted to be active, so that's great. It's just a huge disappointment on the Chaos Curtis behalf for obviously the big Irish interest. Ryan, clearly one of the best prospects in Ireland. It's unfortunate to see him come off the card. I'm pretty sure he got pulled from another card a couple of events ago as well. The last Dublin card, I think he was supposed to be on it as well. I just need to jog my memory on that one, but that's unfortunate. But the card itself, we'll just briefly talk about. There's some great fights on it. Obviously, the Andy Young Perez fight is a brilliant fight. Perez kind of came out of nowhere when he fought Ryan Curtis last time. An awful lot of people.
Muay Thai background as well.
Muay Thai background. Yeah. Good striker. Tim Barnett, Richie Smullen on that card as well. Of course, Kylie and Lahore.
Yeah, great fight. And the return of Tuke. But rather than going individually down through them here, there's a couple of pullouts. The Decky Dalton has gone as well. The card has suffered a bit of injuries. I was delighted though to see that Paul Redmond was on the card. The reason being was I was talking to Andy Ryan, and he was saying they were really pushing to get on the Dublin card, and they were a bit disappointed that it didn't happen with BAMMA. I know Andy was on with Niall McGrath and talking bras, and he was sort of talking about that as well in depth. But Redger's on the card. I'm delighted. It comes on the Bellator side of things. That's another good thing for Redger.
Yeah, absolutely.
After coming off a great victory, he looked great in 3 rounds. It's great that Redger is staying active, getting in there. It's something we spoke about in an interview with him post KSW, that he was saying he wants to stay active. But look, I see people on our posts we put up today going, it's the last BAMMA. But I honestly think the BAMMA card is still absolutely stacked. I think it's a good card.
I think as well, on the Bellator perspective, I think that really adds to it. Paul Redmond on the card. I think a lot of people were disappointed he didn't get on at the first point, or on the BAMMA side even.
And then you got Baby Slice there as well. You got Charlie Ward taking on our very own Johnny Jitsu.
I think it'd be silly. I think it'd be silly to say it couldn't be better, because Bellator have a better stable. Like, they have a lot more additions they could have added to it, but still, there's some good fights there.
Bellator are like your granny when you went to Killiney Beach. She takes her shoes and socks off and she paddles. They're dipping the toe in the Irish market. I
didn't know where you were going with that, but
Conor McGregor appeared on the Late Late Show last weekend and said that he wants to bring order back to the UFC lightweight division and believes he will fight Tony Ferguson next. However, he reiterated that it needs to be co-promote with the UFC before making a return.
The way you said reiterated, you know I wrote that. Yeah. You just know, wouldn't you? I'm glad to hear Conor talk about this. He said this a few times now. I'm inclined to believe him that he does want to bring order back to the division. I'm still a little bit hesitant to say that he'll definitely fight Tony Ferguson next, because when he spoke about the Nate Diaz one as well, he said, well, if I fight Nate Diaz, that'll also be a title fight.
There's a glint in his eye as he said it.
But I'm sure he wants it. But on the
let me fucking talk.
Talk.
The reason I think is Conor is the ultimate businessman.
Yeah, he wants
He's
options.
using all these chips as bargaining chips.
Of course.
So, like, the co-promote, how realistic is that? You know, we could be laughing in months' time.
In 2017, 2018, maybe it's possible.
But I think the big thing for Conor here that will stop that is GSP winning at the weekend. Spoiler alert. But I think, the power of GSP is back in the UFC. He never got the co-promotion when he was selling the big stadiums in Canada and stuff. But Conor, he also apologised for the F word.
Yeah.
I can't believe he makes me say the F word. But he makes me say the F word. But, look, I think the division needs its champion to defend its belt. It's something we spoke about on a good few occasions, Rob, about that he does need to defend the belt. It was a great appearance by Conor on the Late Late Show. It was very enjoyable. Yeah. And as I put up on Facebook after, how can you not love Conor McGregor?
Yeah, he's always a great, when he's on in a platform like that, he's always a great ambassador for the sport. And a lot of people don't like him, and a lot of people in the mainstream don't like him, but it's very difficult not to like him when he's on that platform and he's talking, because he's just a smooth talker. He's brilliant. On the co-promotion thing, we spoke about this with Luke Thomas. This is one thing we brought up. Would that be a barrier for McGregor coming back? This was before there was any talk of the co-promotion thing. So I think that's interesting. That's coming back up. And I don't know, it's a weird one. Historically,
look, the biggest heavyweight in the world, Fedor Emelianenko, the whole reason why they wouldn't sign him
it's a different time, though.
Devil advocate.
You know, it's a different time. McGregor's a much bigger star than Fedor was at any point, and I don't think there's any dispute on that.
No,
and it's 2017, and it's not Zuffa anymore. So.
Very true. In an interview ahead of calling the action at UFC 217, Daniel Cormier said that his rumoured title defence versus Volkan Ozdemir is almost official. Ozdemir said he'd like to fight him at UFC 220 in Boston on January 22nd of next year. Is it the right fight, Robert?
I think it's the right fight. I don't really think there's anybody else there in the light heavyweight division.
Gus?
As far as I can think. Gus is a good one. They've done that before, so they'd be running it back. So yeah, I like the fight. Ozdemir still, for me, feels like a bit of a dark horse in that division. I don't know if everybody apart from the hardcore fans are really on board with Ozdemir.
See, I think that the reason that being is because you haven't seen much of him, because he just has the death touch when he touches somebody. But like, that can't be a bad thing either.
And it's always interesting with guys like that. It's kind of like Anthony Johnson when he got the title shot, where this guy can finish it early, but there's questions after that.
But are them questions there with Ozdemir?
I don't know. I think they're still there because we haven't really seen it. And again,
so it's more the unknown. It's not the questions are there. It's just the unknown more so.
Well, yeah, questions of what that unknown will show. Because maybe, and again, I can't really remember, but I'm sure he has fights where he's gone 3 rounds. I'm not sure. I don't have his record in front of me. So if we do a refresher on his back catalogue, as you can say, maybe we'll have a better idea of what will happen. But going into it, just based on his last few fights in the UFC,
momentum performance.
I think it's a perfect fight. There's a little bit of a story there, a little bit, not a huge story, but a little bit of a story there. And
DC took Rumble's best.
Yeah,
can you take Ozdemir's?
Yeah, and they. Yeah. So yeah, I like the fight. I think it should happen. I don't think there's anybody else really there for DC to fight apart from Gus. But
I think Gus is. You know, he has the argument for it, but I just think momentum and a fresh
contender too.
Like, you look like what was the mayor done to Jimmy Manawa? Like Jimmy Manawa is just version B of Anthony Rumble Johnson in so many ways. Power and finishing, wrestling not so, but like just. Yeah, it makes sense. Vulcan. It has to be. The UFC released their event schedule for the first quarter of 2018, and it's busy. Not surprising. Starting from January the 14th, the promotion will have an event every weekend. Every weekend for 8 weeks in a row. March the 3rd, UFC 22 in Las Vegas will see the end of the streak of events. But not to worry, it's a week of rest before the promotion returns to London on Paddy's Day. Don't really need to talk news about that.
Oversaturation of MMA. Just the one question: is it too much? Yeah, it's too much, isn't it?
It's gonna weaken the card, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
That was.
Don't know. Just weaken the cards, if anything. Something that is the news. And you might see this as obviously bad news, obviously, but I think this shows progress in cage side medics.
Okay.
His Legacy Fighting Alliance fighter C.J. Hancock said he died in cage during a bout on Friday night and had to be revived after his heart stopped and had kidney failure. He has said he is okay now, but doesn't know for sure what happened. He did admit to having a hard weight cut.
Yeah, we'll just touch on this. I'm not going to set a timer for this type of thing.
That sounds weird saying this is good. It just shows.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure. Like, it shows what's cage side now.
Yeah, it shows what they're capable of.
I think if this happened a couple of years ago, it might have ended in a tragedy.
Yeah,
it didn't end in a tragedy. They revived him. He's back, and he's saying he's okay. He's probably never going to compete in MMA again. I know he did say that he'll compete in jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But in a weird way, like, you'd question the hard weight cut. Again, this is the big question.
It's the big question, and we don't know yet what the actual cause was. So you can't just say it's the weight cut and leave it at that. We need to see, maybe there'll be some there should be some. But you still need to say that going in to a cage fight, and I hate that word, but going in and fighting somebody in a cage, 24 hours or even less after weighing in at probably your worst, lowest possible weight doesn't sound like a good idea to me, and it shouldn't sound like a good idea to anyone. And I just hope that maybe in 2-3 years, probably take longer, but maybe in 5-10 years we're going to look back and say, why the hell did fighters do that? And it'll seem silly. I hope That's the hope.
You look at wrestling in America for years. They've been cutting weight as children. They've been stuff in there.
Yeah, but I'm not getting punched in the head.
I just think it's a hard sell to change it. It's such a big thing. But look,
hopefully though, it's not a tragedy that does change it.
This is something that we end up talking about, and we'd end up talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's move it on, and let's get Brendan Dorman and Darren Russell on, and let's recap the night that the MMA gods presented us. We all said, this is going to happen. Someone's pulling out. Nobody pulled out, and we were treated to a glory. It was like a Super Bowl.
Masterpiece.
It was like a Super Bowl. It was like a World Cup. It was like Christmas. It was like your birthday. It was just...
If MMA had Oscars, this would get the best picture.
It was literally everything rolled up and bundled into one. Every great thing you could say about MMA, and we witnessed it on Saturday night. So let's get the two lads on. It was that good. We're getting two on. To recap UFC 217. Woo! Welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see two faces on our TV screen. We are joined... As always, we're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. That's a weird intro when Darren's beside him. We're joined by Brendan Dorman, and we're also joined by Darren Russell to recap. Who's
also the best.
Yeah, we're not saying he's the best. We're saying he's second best. It's a weird intro. In fairness, just as I was introducing Brendan, I was like, yeah, this is sort of a bit of a bad one. But no, anyway, we're here to recap the great night that was UFC 217. So, gentlemen, before we start delving into it, just what's your initial thoughts on the card?
I thought that it was very entertaining, bordering on maybe the best card, and I just don't know if it's because it's still fresh in my head that I can remember. I don't remember a better card. I really don't. As far as like full drama, you know. The Rose thing really caught me by surprise. Wow. Nothing else really did. You know, not in that fashion. I did not see that, not a mile away. Trevor Whitman deserves everyone's praise. That guy is an animal of a coach. Yeah. Just amazing fights. I don't know how in depth I'll get, but yeah.
Darren?
Yeah, I think it was, like we were saying before, I think it had the perfect blend of knockout finishes, entertaining fights, the bit of controversy in there, and I think when you talk about some of the best fight cards ever, people mention UFC 194 and so on, but this is definitely up there.
Yeah, like for me, it's like, it might be just because it's fresh that I said it's the best card ever, but I can't stop thinking about it. Like the past couple of days, it's a weird one. It's one of them fight cards where I just can't stop thinking about the fights, and I want to go back and rewatch them. Like, I love fighting, but there's very rarely an event where I'm gonna say I want to sit back down and watch that entire event from start to finish. And I want to go back and do that. That full main card, I want to watch it start to finish. It was like a good film where it moved perfectly. The pacing was perfect. The fights just flow together really well. Some great fights. 3 title changes.
That's really well said.
3 title changes. Yeah. What the hell? That just doesn't happen.
How about the fact that, like, in the pyramid of fights, if you want to use your film or book analogy, you had kind of a climactic point with Rose, and then you still ended on a bang. Like, it's like the most perfect, you know what I mean? It's like Grapes of Wrath or something. It's like written with perfect structure. Yeah. It was magical, just magical.
As I was watching it, I know it sounds stupid, but I was literally going, is this really happening? Or have I fallen asleep and I'm just like dreaming all this? Am I going to wake up and it's like going to be like Phil Davis is on my screen hugging somebody? Or like I'm there going like, seriously, this is like just absolutely incredible. And as Bouchi's used, I won't even try and top the analogies, 2 great analogies, but it just kept, like when Rose happened, you were like going, right, that's the pinnacle, and then you're like, holy shit, Garbrandt has to fight Dillashaw, and then that happened, and then you're like, GSP is walking out to the octagon. It was just,
it was insane.
The crowd was on fire too. I didn't expect that, honestly. And
something that, you know what, I'm going to point it out as well, Anik, Cormier and Rogan.
Yeah.
What a performance by the 3 of them in commentary as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely loved it. Let's start on the opening fight of the main card. Yeah. Paulo Costa taking on Johnny Hendricks. In our picks, we all just sort of said Costa's going to be too athletic, too powerful, to everything. He's the up-and-comer guy feeding off Hendricks' name. Is that the way we felt it played out, or did you think Johnny Hendricks done good enough in there in defeat?
No. He got smashed. I told you it's business. It's not personal. Sorry, go ahead, Darren.
No, I think a lot of people thought he came out there in the first round, but I did kind of see the fight heading into the second. I think people kind of give brownie points to Hendricks because he made out of the first round, rather than it actually being a good performance. And that's nothing against Johnny Hendricks, like you say. It's just it's quite a shame, when you look back and you look at GSP in his career, like Hendricks, he either came very close to beating him or should have got that decision. And to see the demise of a fighter that was once talked about in that way is kind of sad, really.
It's something though that we spoke about, Brendan, as well in the past. I know it's strictly business only for you, Brendan, nothing personal. But I know, since USADA questions have been asked about Johnny Hendricks, and quite ironic, I'm certainly not making an accusation, but in fighting Paulo Costa, he looked like somebody, if you were trying to draw a picture of somebody who USADA will be knocking on their front door, they look like they were in different weight classes. Now, I know
they should be.
Hendricks is a welterweight, he's a fat welterweight, but Costa just looked like somebody who should be probably fighting at light heavy. He was so big. Was that for Hendricks, Brendan, looking at that challenge, is that a defeat in itself, looking at the mass and the size of the man that he was fighting?
I thought you were going somewhere else when you first said USADA and testing, but like I said, business, right? That dude, I don't know how he's pissing clean, but he might be just an absolute freak specimen. I don't know, because Tyron Woodley's pretty jacked. There's some guys like that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But to your point, that guy looked like that looked like an uncle beating up his nephew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just the speed too. It wasn't just power and muscularity, because it's not it's not a bodybuilding contest. But he has fat. We talked about fast twitch muscle fiber and all that. That guy is so explosive, and he didn't seem to kind of tire. You know what I mean? He just
I was gonna say that.
He laid it on. He didn't. I don't think he really took a step backward. Yeah. But I don't know of anything about him pissing hot.
No.
Does anyone else?
No.
Could be a freak. I mean, he doesn't pass the eye test, but what do I know?
But Darren, as well, something as well, I noticed on commentary, they kept alluding to, and I actually think it's a great point. Is Paulo Costa Brazil's next big hope? Brazil used to dominate, the South Americans used to hold a lot of the UFC titles. Is Paulo Costa, Darren, someone that is the next great thing coming out of Brazil?
We think so, because in the middleweight division, there's a lot of fights available where you only have to take a fight against Jacare or Yoel Romero, and all of a sudden you're right up there in the title picture, as even though the division is kind of one of the most stacked ones in the sport. And I think he's just, I think everything about him would make you think he's the next star. He looks like he's carved out of stone. He's just you could pick. There's not many more fighters out of Brazil at the minute who I'd highlight as being above him in terms of the future prospects. So, I think that's a fair analogy.
I think as well, it was
he seemed to call for it too at the end of the fight.
Yeah, as well. So. He done the interview in English, which I think is a big thing. We spoke about it with Joanna and said
that wasn't an accident. Yeah,
Joanna has taken English classes. I'm sure she's tried to do her interviews in English, because you're just not going to be a huge star if you don't speak the language that you're fighting in front of most. So you need the language. I think it's important.
Anderson Silva, Aldo,
Yeah. Anderson could have been such a bigger star if he spoke.
Oh my God, he would have been enormous.
And he was big, but he don't think he was even close to being as big as he could have been. He only got big after the Chael Sonnen fight, really.
Especially with his stylings, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was Johnny Hendricks' last fight on his UFC contract. Do we see it being renewed, Rob?
I can't. No, I don't think so. He's had too many.
Is he going to the retirement home of UFC fighters in Bellator? Or?
Probably. I know the UFC usually have goodwill with former champions, and champions who have stepped up. But I just don't think so. I think it's too much.
Gents, any opinions on that one?
I hope so.
You hope he goes Bellator, or you hope he gets a contract signed at UFC, Brendan?
Really?
Sorry, I'm only throwing this shit.
Moving on.
This is the next fight of the evening. It's obviously what happened. It seems to be getting, I wouldn't say swept under the carpet, but it doesn't seem to be the most talked about for obvious reasons. Yeah. But Stephen Wonderboy Thompson took on Jorge Masvidal. It's something again as well, Brendan, we spoke about as well, was range. Who can implement their range? It starts in Thompson's range. He done it beautifully. A couple of times Jorge broke the enemy lines and crossed that range barrier. But how masterful of a performance, or do you think this was a masterful performance, I should say, by Wonderboy?
Me first?
Yeah.
We're not used to this split screen, or I'm not anyway. It was incredible. Masvidal, I think people forget, like, Masvidal's wins, you know, and how good he is. Yeah. Wonder Boy looked like Wonder Boy. And the thing is, you have, when he fights it, kind of like you alluded to and I alluded to in the preview show, is that if you come forward at him, he's just going to keep sniping. He didn't land out a knockout shot, but it was it was kind of a no-brainer, really. It was pretty dominant in a finish. He looked wonderful from southpaw with his legs and fantastic hands, like I was saying he would do with his karate hand striking. It's not boxing, you know what I mean? It's really not. It's hand strikes, but it's a karate style. When he stands from orthodox, he throws these wonderful angled, like when he's moving laterally, and then he kind of darts forward at like a 30-degree angle and then skips kind of out at that same angle. And he does it, and it's like you blink, and you miss the whole sequence. I mean, that's just, it's fantastic because he kind of lulls, like he'll move in with these like slow hands, and then all of a sudden just bang, like everything is so fast. He's a special talent, man. He really is. And I love Masvidal too. But
speaking of the change of stances, there was a couple of things he was doing while changing stances. He almost strikes while changing stances, and I know he probably doesn't quite do that. But if you look at even TJ Dillashaw, we'll talk about him. He does a similar thing where it's not the guys who change stance, they'll strike and then they'll slowly change stance and just keep going. In between that, they'll change stance and strike immediately. I think that's kind of what you were bringing up as well. And TJ Dillashaw does that lovely as well.
Yeah, that's like the trendy term a few years ago when they were using like neo footwork, which was a little silly. But shifting was the other one a lot of people would say. Yeah. BJJ Scout, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, used to say darting. Yeah. You know, but to me, I learned it as shifting because it's been in boxing since I was a kid when I first put boxing gloves on. I was young. And it just means following your hip with your hip when you're throwing like crosses. You alternate feet accordingly. But you can't do it in a straight line or you're going to get picked off. Both of them, it's not just that they do that. You know, Hagler was one of the best at it. Triple G's really good at it. TJ probably in MMA and Wonderboy. I would use those four as the best people to watch, even though they all do it differently. Yeah, shifting. Different. You know what I mean? It's creating power by bringing your other foot forward to make, you know, you throw a right cross, and if your right hip follows, then afterwards you're stepping forward with your right foot, and now your left hand is across, you know? And as would all the round strikes be, too, because they're coming from the rear. More torque, more momentum. It's inertia, it's force. It's also evasive, so it's offensively productive, but it's defensively aware as well. You know, it's wonderful to watch people at the highest level do that. Especially now in MMA, you didn't see it 10 years ago.
Yeah. The one thing about the fight as well, and it was alluded to on the broadcast, and I think it's an incredibly valid point, Darren, I just want to get your thoughts on this, is they said, what's next for Wonderboy? Because the automatic rematch or title shot, they feel he maybe has to clear out the division is something that they said. But after beating Jorge Masvidal, honestly, Darren, what do you think is next for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? What does he need to do to get back for that title shot?
I think the nature of, you know, the way that first fight went down, there's not anybody in the world will be campaigning to watch that again. Certainly not me. I was in New York for the first fight, which I thought was a good fight. But Tyron Woodley, it's kind of kudos to Woodley when you watch Thompson fight other people, because nobody else can seem to figure out exactly how to fight against him and handle him. Whereas Tyron Woodley just, you know, kind of stood there and kind of didn't throw many strikes for him to counter at, and that was that's kind of kudos to him. And for Wonderboy. He's just so technical and he's just, how do you prepare to fight someone like that? Because you can't bring in sparring partners that are going to replicate his style. It's a tough situation. I'd like to see him fight Darren Till, personally.
Till is called for that, great fight.
But Till called for that, I believe, too, right?
Yeah,
that'd be savage.
But it's weird.
I don't know if you throw Till to the Wolves yet, though, you know? I don't know.
Do you think that's throwing him to the Wolves?
Maybe.
Wow.
I mean, he beat Cowboy, but so did 4 other people before.
Yeah, that's very
true.
What
I mean? So give him another one. If you're trying to make him a star, you wait, because Wonderboy could definitely beat him. Let's be honest. He could beat Wonderboy by the same flip coin, right? I know that. I realize that, and I have no dog in that fight. But if you're trying to create a star, let him keep doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? Dominate. That's why they didn't give Ngannou Stipe yet, even though he may very well have the strap, 6 months from now.
Yeah.
You got to build stars, and that's what they're lacking. Someone like Conor is a unicorn. You know what I mean? Most people aren't that. They're not that special as far as like the self-promotion, the way they finish, they call their shots, they're electrifying in the ring, they look good, but like no one's gonna be him, but not everyone's gonna go that route. So sometimes you got to just do it with your in-ring performances, and I think you give him just someone in the 5 range, just not him, just Maya doesn't make a lot of sense, and Wonderboy doesn't make a lot of sense, but anyone else up there is cool with me.
I think like Perry or Ponzinibbio is probably the winner of that fight. Is a realistic opponent, and I think the fact the UFC are returning to London rather than Liverpool would suggest that the Thompson fight isn't being considered about, because that would clearly main event the Liverpool card.
I'd imagine. Yeah,
good point.
Perry would be incredible. I almost wish that he didn't have a fight on the docket.
Oh yeah.
Well, I know Darren Till was on the MMA Hour, our sister podcast, with Ariel Helwani, and he was saying that he wants to fight, and he was shocked like when Perry signed the contract to fight Ponzinibbio. He was like, "What? I thought we were going to fight."
Yeah.
But he also, like, the one thing he sort of said, he always stays ready. He's having a bit of fun now. He said he was weighing 215.
Yeah.
But he was in New York and he was going home and he's going back to the gym, so he'll stay ready. So it sounds weird, but if either of them were to fall out injured, he's the obvious replacement, isn't he? And you don't wish injury on anyone.
Well, you'd think so, but I think he makes a big cut to get there.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I don't know.
Moving on to the first title fight, Brendan's good lady, his other half.
We broke up.
Yeah, bro.
I'm a fair weather fan. I'm just kidding. I still love her.
It's something. Rose Namajunas and Joanna and Jelčić, when we were talking about this fight, we said, look, anyone who tells us that Rose doesn't have a chance is an idiot. We said this, but we said, but anyone who's putting large money on Rose Namajunas, they're taking a big risk, because when you get Joanna and Jelčić, it's almost too early.
Yeah.
But we did say chaos could win the fight for Rose Namajunas. As it turned out, Darren, it wasn't chaos. It was absolute shot selection, skill, and controlled composure that won the fight.
Yeah.
How surprised were we with Rose's approach, how cool she was, but the devastating fashion how she finished Joanna.
It was interesting that as the week went on around fight week, there was all this. You're watching the build up and watching Joanna be. Joanna is normal. That was no different for Joanna, but Rose Namajunas is just, when they were facing off, there was just nothing in her face at all. It was just sheer, there was like, her face was dead pretty much. She just sat there, no emotion, no anything. And I think her performance was amazing, and she was great post-fight. I'm not sure the UFC will be massively keen to get behind her, because she's not like a trash talker. She's not outspoken. I wouldn't imagine she's a massive sell. And the way she was just not really fussed about the belt, doesn't matter to me. I'm just a normal person and doing it for this and doing it for that. But I think it was an incredible performance, and I don't think Joanna expected her to come out the way she did, and it just caught Joanna off guard. And when she knocked her down for the first time, we thought maybe Joanna will come back in, but Rose just carried on and put her away comfortably.
Brendan, were you surprised? We all talked as in, Joanna is just phenomenal. But do you think, like, a lot of people are talking about, I have to be honest, when I was looking at the weigh-in and she was putting her fist to her face, it seemed to me like it was more bothering Joanna that Rose wasn't getting bothered by it. She seemed more pissed off that she wasn't getting into her head. And this is something that we also spoke about in our breakdown, where we said emotional state of mind. The fact Joanna was mentioning mental illness and that you're not mentally stable. But if Rose showed the strength of character and mind, and it was Joanna who seemed to be affected. But do you think as well, both that and the other point, do you think she just simply overlooked Rose and thought, I'm just going to beat this girl?
Maybe, or both. It can be both, really, right? Because let's face it, Rose has never looked like that. Yeah. She was throwing leaping hooks like Roy Jones Jr. I don't know who that is. Maybe but they were literally leaping left hooks. Like, she's covering a good 5 feet with them. And for like a Thai boxer, like you go to Thailand. I mean, no, you call Thai fights all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
Or you do once in a while anyway.
Yeah.
Right. You don't see many leaping left hooks, cutting left of center line to then throw a leg. I mean, her striking it was fractal in its exponential increase in skill. Yeah. Like we hadn't seen that. So was Joanna maybe caught off guard? Was it also that she was almost trying a little too hard? Like someone had mentioned, like, is she trying to be like a Conor-ish person right now? She was very antagonistic to the point of, like, it did at the very end feel like, oh boy, she's trying too hard to me. But I was almost in denial, like in my own head, like it'll be fine. It wasn't fine. It really wasn't. So all the psychological semi-analysis we tried to do, or I tried to do, was in fact the exact opposite. It's not that I was wrong. I had the wrong people in the wrong slot, if that makes sense. You know. So it could have been both. She could have underestimated her. That doesn't mean in the rematch it's going to be GSP Sarah too. You know. I don't know. Yeah, it looked like a skill gap.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was crazy because we spoke about Rose. We said we don't really know what she's going to bring because every single time, as you said, she just gets better and better, and it's hard to gauge how better she's going to get between fights. It really is. Like, she's really young. She's so young.
But we always say that, Robert, when somebody goes away from the cage at such a young age, when they come back, they're almost like a completely different fighter.
Yeah, and another thing we also brought up was the fact where Joanna comes from, where Rose comes from. Rose comes from an MMA game, and as you said, Joanna probably hasn't seen a lot of that stuff. That's not that she can't deal with it, but there's certain things she wouldn't have seen. There's certain things that Rose is developing that isn't necessarily coming from a strict traditional background. It's coming from an MMA. It's like Demetrius Johnson, who's doing things that if you come from a submission game, like Wilson Hayes, but you're fighting Demetrius Johnson's going to do some things that you don't see in sport jiu-jitsu. You just don't see it. It's an MMA game. It's different. It's like striking.
100%.
Yeah, MMA striking. In boxing, say boxing-wise, if a normal boxer comes over and fights MMA, they're going to see things that's just not the same. Even if they're just strictly boxing, it's just going to be different. I think that's what Joanna's seeing here. Rose come in with something completely different and greatly improved, and it was just a phenomenal performance. She also didn't let her off the hook. Once she has her hook, didn't let her off the hook at all. Didn't give her time.
What did we think?
I just jumped on her like a surfboard. It was hilarious. It was like a 1 second moment where, like, when she went to mount, she did it by just like leaping, like she was jumping into a pool. You know, it was hilarious. But
one big thing as well that I noticed as well, that when Rose stepped off, I thought she was just being merciful, but only on the repeat I seen that Joanna tapped. This is the whole thing of do fighters, you know, should she?
I think it's fine.
This is what we say about, you know, when a choke is in, are you going to go asleep or do you tap? Bisbee went asleep, we'll cover that in a bit. Or I always think the best analogy is an armbar. If your armbar is going to, if you're caught in an armbar, why be the hero and get a broken arm?
Yeah.
Tap and fight another day. Yeah. So fighters shouldn't need to go unconscious before the fight's over. But what do we make of Joanna tapping? Was that something that surprised her? Did she just say, yeah, I'm beat today, tomorrow's another day?
I don't give a shit if someone taps from strikes. Big deal.
Darren?
Yeah. She was out. To do that, you're out. You're done. You know you're done. Are we that bloodthirsty? Like, are we that much of meatheads? What are we? I get it. I get why that annoys people, but you don't know where you are. Have you ever been knocked out? You have no idea what's going on. You ever been choked out? You don't know. You have no idea what's going on. She didn't go, you know what I think? I'm thinking I should tap from, you have a split second where you're dreaming. You know what I mean? Your blood's like DMT rich dreaming. Who knows? She didn't even make a conscious decision. I think that's like an overstated way for someone to talk shit tomorrow. You know what I mean? I don't like I just don't like the thought process that goes like, they tap from strikes. Well, they didn't know if they were on Pluto, you know, if they were in my backyard. They don't know. So I'm indifferent, really.
Well, I always look back on when McGregor lost to Diaz. That was when straight away, because Holly Holm went to sleep.
Yeah.
The fight before, everyone was straight away, Connor, you know, who goes out by tapping straight away. And I think it's, I like Brendan says, I don't think it really matters. You're probably only looking in this case of 2 or 3 more strikes landed, and the ref's going to step in anyway. So what difference does it make, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with it. Like if you've experienced it, as Brendan said, if you any kind of experience in it, you know, like if you just know, it's especially in a choke, you know, you're gone.
Yeah.
There's no defense. You're gone. It's in.
And you know when you have no escape.
Yeah.
And like Bisping got a lot of credit for that, and he dismissed it himself. It's like big fucking deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I'm not celebrating that. Jesus, you know. He's like, the guy's got a great squeeze. I went to sleep. Yeah. That's what happened. And he lost, so that's not sour grapes. You know, it's the opposite, if anything.
Co-main event of the evening was a rivalry that went back from Dillashaw leaving Alpha Male. There was a lot of back and forth. There was Instagram post release of Garbrandt putting Dillashaw down. Intriguing fight. I'm going to say one thing. I picked Cody Garbrandt to win this fight. But when Dillashaw walked to the cage, and then as Garbrandt started walking to the cage, I opened up my Betfair app on my phone, and I placed money on TJ Dillashaw to win by knockout. Because I thought Dillashaw looks loose, Garbrandt looks stiff and invested. Something we spoke about, Brendan. And I backed Dillashaw. And then the first round I went, well, I made a mess of that. But I said this to Rob and Brendan. I'm intrigued to get your opinion on this. Walking into work this morning, I said the worst thing that happened in the fight for Cody Garbrandt, because Cody Garbrandt played the counter striker in round 1, and the worst thing that happened to Garbrandt was he hurt Dillashaw in the last seconds of round 1. So coming into round 2, he was throwing a lot more fight-ending wild shots that cost him his chin and his strap. What do you think of that idea? Or maybe am I looking into it too much? But I think he went away from his game plan in round 2 because he hurt him in round 1.
You're not wrong.
You're not right.
I just wanted to you're like, here we go. No. I don't want to. It's not. You're not wrong. It's just that that's always how he fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not a calculated fighter. I mean, he is. That sounds wrong. What I mean is he's not like range finding until he finds a power shot. He throws everything with heat. Yeah. He throws heaters all fight. Everyone he fought, he did it against Dominic, and you saw how fast his hands are. He didn't look like, as if he had lost a step. What did I say? TJ has more weapons. What did I say? TJ needs to keep his temper under control. What did TJ say? I kept my temper under control. It played out. If he lands a head kick, but I called how everything would go there. It's like I almost saw it. You know what I mean? I said if he knocks him down, remember that whole conversation, like the thing I put on Instagram. It's like a 20-second clip, and I just put that up to promote the thing. I just happened to pick that of all things. But I said if he kind of catches him with a head kick, he's going to be vicious but calculated in trying to finish, and he won't do a Cody thing where if he knocks him down, he's going to break dance. That's kind of exactly what happened. It's not exact because it wasn't like a jiu-jitsu finish, but the premise was the same. So you're not wrong. I thought you were going to say because it was at the end of the round, not the middle of the round, which is a duh. But I know what you mean. He went in the second round thinking he's probably still on bad legs because he did walk to his corner on bad legs. Yeah. So either way, it wouldn't have been the worst idea to come out swinging early second. But TJ's so cerebral, and the way that he hid that left kick over the shoulder was magical. And his finish was just as good. That right hand counter, oh my God, perfect. Does that answer? I don't know.
Yeah.
I rammed.
Darren, what do you think?
I think with Cody, it goes back to being the emotions involved, like with Joanna, and how long we've been waiting for this fight. They've gone through the Ultimate Fighter, and there's not many fights where I've seen two people really hate each other as much as these both. It was nice to see him embrace afterwards as well. But I think it was like Cody Garbrandt prior to the Dominic Cruz fight. In the Cruz fight, he kind of took quite a few people by surprise with how cool he kind of was with his striking. He wasn't completely rushing it because of how good of a counter striker Dominic Cruz is. And I think that his hate for TJ Dillashaw kind of put the game plan on the back seat, especially as he knocked him down at the end of the first round and went hunting at the start of the second.
The one thing you brought up was he was looking for that fight and then finish. I'm just scrolling, like, if people watch me on the camera here, I'm scrolling through Twitter because I'm trying to find that combination that finished, because when we were coming in, I said I'm pretty sure that the combination that landed from Dillashaw came from a counter to the same combination that landed in the first round, which looks like the same combination that landed in that weird video that Garbrandt released before the fight, and I'm pretty sure it was. I can't find the original one, but
wait, well, Cody landed at the end of the first.
Yeah,
was the exact same thing. I mean, it wasn't off of a fake shot uppercut, but it was the same angle, left of center, head out, overhand right. It was the same short four. It was the same punch.
You were speaking about the video and what he landed in the first.
Yep. Yeah.
I also think that in the second round, the shot that TJ landed was countering that same shot.
It was,
which is crazy. I think he was. I'm pretty sure
he switched stance very quickly to do it.
Yeah,
that was,
and he landed,
and
then he landed a right hook.
because he was from southpaw, so he's got all this to blade him. Yeah. So then he can short right into it.
Yeah.
And that way, I always tell you guys about, like, you throw the same punch, both people throw a hook, right?
Yeah, of course.
If one person covers up better than the other or has a better angle, and the other person's coming in with their momentum, that's like 90% of knockouts. That's how it happens. It's a momentum or a blind strike.
The fight that it reminded me of with the finish was actually Condit and Dan Hardy.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was, or Rampage Vanderlei is the same. Where those were literally like exact left hooks, one lands, one doesn't. You know, but similar. Yeah, very similar.
We're running low on time, so we need to get to GSP.
That's it, isn't it? No, there's no more fights. Is there? That's it.
Quick question.
That's it.
TJ talked about going down to 125 and fighting Demetrius Johnson. Is that the right fight for him?
My dispute with this was, no, it's not a super fight. TJ doesn't hold a belt. He does now. But I also think that Cruz warrants a rematch if he beats Rivera, and Rivera warrants a title shot because he's like 22 and 22 fight win streak. So it's the whole thing of like Garbrandt just won the title and defended it and lost it. So let the champion defend his belt. Yeah. Maybe TJ needs to defend it once and then make the super fight happen. But I just think Rivera and Cruz deserve a shot at the belt, whoever the victor when they fight.
Darren, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
I think it's a lot of people just want to see somebody beat Demetrius Johnson, really, is what people want, or someone to at least test him better than anyone left in the flyweight division. There's not really any fights that jump out at me, bar maybe Sergio Pettis, and we're kind of scraping the barrel now, so yeah.
What about you, Darren? Brendan?
I don't know that TJ can make 125. Let's start there.
Yeah, that's the big part.
Speaking of guys that looked a little crazy jacked that day.
Yeah, he was, but now he did say he put on muscle mass.
Yeah, he was talking about that,
Yeah, clearly, and you know what happens after you do that and try to lose it?
Yeah,
you know?
It's tough,
lose speed. It's not going to look like that at 125. I hate to break it to everyone, but I don't know. Or did they meet at 130 and it's a real super fight? Here's the thing. When do we all remember when it was GSP Anderson Silva was a super fight? Does anyone remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. They're both on like 6-year title defense streaks.
Yeah.
These people win one fucking fight and they want a super fight.
Yeah.
Calm down. Yeah. Do something in your division. DJ warrants a super fight. Yeah. TJ got his belt back that he never lost. And I know what he's saying. And the Dominic fight was very close, but you did lose. You know? So it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. I think you should wait. You fight the winner of Dominic Rivera. I don't think that's that far away. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, December that happens.
When is it?
December, yeah.
Oh, perfect. So then he has time to rest, fight that winner, and then maybe, because then the division will almost kind of feel cleared out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if Dominic loses, he becomes kind of like he has to go to 4 or 5 or whatever, and it doesn't really warrant a title shot for him, especially in a loss. In a win, it does, you know? fascinating. I'm okay with it. I just think it's you just won, dude. Calm down.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't make sense for the 135-pound division. I think it'd be great for the 25 division if Dillashaw can get down there. It would be a great thing for them because it'd be the first real, I think, marquee fight in that division. But it'd be tough to get him down there, and you're also holding up.
I think it has to happen at 125, though.
Yeah,
it has to.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
It's unfair to DJ to make it at 135.
I also just from the breakdown nightmare that it will be, hope it doesn't happen for a while, because saying, I think DJ, if he gets TJ down and then TJ gets DJ and then TJ, you'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So moving on to the main event, I believe a fight went down. I owe Brendan Dorman a t-shirt. Georges St-Pierre made his long-awaited return 4 years away from the octagon, and he took on the then reigning defending champion in Michael the Count Bisping. Brendan Dorman, your man, came back. Your man got the strap. Were you impressed with, number one, his style and how he attacked the fight? It was quite different to how GSP would have fought for some of the fans of recent, but how impressed were you? 4 years away from the cage. You spoke about how he stayed active outside of it, but were you surprised with how well he looked?
Yeah, that's a new striking style for him.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that ever. He blended Freddie Roach's knowledge of hands with his Kyokushin roots. So his movement was interesting. And that's the thing is, like, Bisping even gave him kudos at the end, saying, like, he's a phenomenal striker, he always has been, but his striking now was like, whoa. Yeah. That's some new, he was doing new things. It was the way that he was saying angles, and angles is such an overused word now, but he was using very, like, because he's not a hoppy on his feet kind of, like how Cody, we were talking about Cody, right? Yeah. And his boxing savvy footwork. He doesn't move like that. He never did. He was always more flat, kind of like with karate stylings, and then he would explode into things. He was using like lateral movement a lot. He didn't switch stances as much as I thought he might, because he kept teasing that he would. But he would use like lateral movement like Thompson and then explode forward, but then angle out. So he's using check hooks and a lot of interesting looks. His takedowns looked phenomenal. Bisping surprised me with his strength to get up, man. Jesus. Yeah. That he's an animal. Savage. You were absolutely right on that. But he did get taken down at will. So I was right, too. Don't get cocky. Just kidding. No, you're absolutely right. He's an animal, and he cut him up on the ground, too. He did really well. That's what more people need to learn to do. His more than anything is striking. The way he set up that choke was savage. If you got to rewatch it from a different angle, but he let it happen. Sometimes you learn this the better you get at jiu-jitsu. You lay traps differently than in striking. In striking, it's with feints, and you look for pattern recognition. In jiu-jitsu, most things that you would use for pattern recognition are for traps. Another word that's becoming too trendy, but they're going to work on everybody. You create space that you didn't give him 2 seconds before, just to let him move and get a new angle on things. So he stood up as if he was going to do like the leg drag punch pass sweep where he hip heists. Yeah. That one I covered, covered in a brilliant breakdown recently. It almost looked like he was going to do that, but instead he rolled him over, snatched his back up like a ninja, kind of like Renan Barão did way back in the day against One Punch Pickett, I think it was. Anyway. It was magical, man. Just as a whatever he is to me, and just as someone who was inspirational to me. The feeling at the end, the way, and we were talking about DC and Rogan and how they play off each other. That was so you could hear their emotion in that. I mean, it was incredible. The crowd's emotion, George's emotion. I mean, it was. I was like a kid. I felt like a child. It was incredible. He looked amazing. And Bisping didn't look bad. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't that Bisping looked bad. It was how good George looked. Really, that's what I took away.
I was supremely impressed with the jab as well. I didn't think he'd have to implement it as well as he did with Bisping.
His hands have clearly got better.
Yeah, he looked good. But
his hands are much better.
One thing I have to say is coming to the second half of the second round, Brendan, in a weird way, it was really funny. We thought you always mentioned, you had a dog in the race or whatever. But in a weird way, when I was watching this, I was always a big GSP fan. You wouldn't have guessed this with me and your little thing last week. But you GSP fan. But because me and you had that, I was like, come on, Bisping! So when it got to the second half of the second round, I thought, deadly. He's bollocks. He's absolutely shattered. He's dumped his load. Bisping is going to work him over now. Bisping will go all day. The elbows on the ground were cutting them up. And I was like, this is fantastic. Georges St-Pierre is going to fade, and I'm going to get to rub it in Dorman's face on Monday.
Still sounds so sexual.
Didn't happen. As I said, I tweeted the roach hook and the Danaher choke. Firas Zahabi got no credit from me whatsoever. But I was hugely impressed with GSP, and he did hit a part in the fight where he had to get through adversity.
Yeah.
And he coped with it like the champion he is. And the only way I can say it is I was impressed with his performance.
Very good.
Could you not be impressed by his performance?
That was a better French accent than me. Darren, we're going to throw it to you, your fellow countryman. What did you think of the fight with Bisping? How did you think about, number one, how did you feel with GSP making the walk? Did you get the goosebumps? But at the same time, what did you think of the fight itself?
Yeah, with the ring walk, it did lack the gi.
Yeah,
you know,
it did.
I wholly thought Reebok were just going to cash in on it. Nice Reebok gi, GSP written on it, or something like that. But I don't think they're that clever in that respect. First watching the finish, I thought in real time I was like, that's kind of sloppy from Bisping to let him take his neck so easily. But when you watched it back, it was just masterful from GSP. And the whole question before the fight was, Rust 4 years out, would we see the same GSP? We've seen a better GSP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary in itself. That's scary because I remember when I interviewed Michael Bisping, I was chatting to him, and it's all that was really considered that time was if Bisping stops the takedowns with GSP carrying the extra weight, eventually it'll tire out, which at one point it looked like that was going to happen without stopping the takedowns anyway. It just looked like GSP was going to gas. Yeah. And alas, it never played out that way. But I was kind of happy for Bisping regardless of the result, because after the years he's put into the sport, nobody deserves their money fight, their big fight as much as him. But yeah, disappointed.
Let that heartbreak just linger for a little. Just let that awkward heartbreak silence. Let it fester in the room there. I thought Bisping.
Well, that's not because of him; it's because of you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As well, did you see Rogan? He was like a dog with a bone when Bisping started talking. He's going to retire. He's going to retire. Rogan thought he was getting the moment again of putting his gloves down and going, Michael Bisping, thanks for all your years. It's been an honour to come. And then Bisping went, yeah, but I'll probably fight like next year. And he was,
yeah, but I'm not going
to. Bisping did his big speech about my wife and kids.
Yeah, he did.
He did the retirement speech.
And Rogan was going,
and everyone was going, oh no, I've got my tweet half written. What a career! And he goes, yeah, I'll fight again soon. I'm like, oh.
It was his. I apologise to absolutely nobody. That was his moment. That was it.
Couple of things. John Danaher was definitely wearing a rash guard underneath the UFC tracksuit top, wasn't he?
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way he's not wearing. Were you surprised? A weird one, Brendan, as well for you. Were you surprised that Freddie Roach was actually in the octagon giving instructions? Were you surprised that it got to where Firas wasn't the only one?
Surprised in the most incredible way, yeah.
It was a bit surreal looking at it, wasn't it? It was the
very
whole
surreal.
unicorn in the field.
It was his advice that won the fight, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just think that's just such a cool kind of moment. Such a cool whole thing. Like, I don't know, it was just weird seeing Freddie Roach in there. It was very surreal.
I talked to Henzo and I said to Henzo, I'm like, it's surreal. Or I sent him a public message and then I talked to him privately, but it was how surreal it was when they showed the what is it called, the build-up show they do. Embedded?
Yeah.
Okay. At Embedded, they were at Henzo's in Manhattan, right? And, I spent some time there. So to see Freddie and Danaher in a corner talking, I was like, God, that is just, there's so much knowledge. And I realized Freddie has Parkinson's, which is really sad, but he still is very smart. He just has, it takes more time for him to put it all together. Yeah. And Danaher, as we know, is literally a doctor in philosophy. I think he has a doctorate from Columbia. He's a genius. We're talking about an insurmountable amount of combat sport knowledge. It was surreal to me to see that, and then to see him in the ring. Yeah, I mean, but in the best way possible. It surprised me, but in the very best way. Yeah. That was so cool. So damn cool.
Let's wrap it with one more question. GSP, does he stay at middleweight, or does he drop back down, or what do we see next? I suppose, what's next for GSP? Does he stay and fight the big monsters, Darren, or does he drop back down? Or his super fight is touted with Conor McGregor, people are saying. But what do you see, Darren, next for GSP?
I do think he'll drop down to 170 because he was non-committal at all to a fight with Paul Robert Whittaker. You know, he steamrolled his way to the top of the division, and you know, nobody's going to give him his kind of big money fight. Yeah. So it's kind of a shame, but I think he will move back down. I think he'll still be quite concerned with how quickly he gassed if someone was to take him to the 4th or 5th round. You know, I'd imagine that's still in his mind because the guy's a perfectionist. You know, he's not going to look back and go, that was flawless, that performance. You know, he's going to pick it apart. And I'd imagine he's going to move down.
Brendan?
Who knows? I don't think... Okay, I do know. So in his contract, but Dana can override it. It says that if Dana, whoever makes the call, I believe it's Dana himself, it could be Shelby, if they deem it that, it's all in their hands, basically. So he has to fight Whittaker via his contract. Yeah. But we saw how Dana flip-flopped Woodley, Bisping, Bisping, Woodley, Bisping, right? So that could happen again. I don't know, but I don't think Whittaker draws that well. I mean, it'll draw because GSP, but it won't draw because of Whittaker. Whittaker is amazing and deserves that fight. I agree with everyone. I love that guy. I think he's phenomenal. He beat one of the scariest guys I've ever seen in my life. But GSP was at 185. He's not quite big enough for those guys. I don't think he's so talented that he might be able to win. But he's going to take damage that I don't want to see him take as someone that cares. So I'd like to see him go down to 170. The Conor thing seems pipe dreamish at this point because that would be a massacre. Yeah. And I don't think Dana wants to do that to his son. So, 170. Sorry. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, I think 170 as well. I think it's a weird one because when GSP was coming back, everyone was looking at the Tyron Woodley fight and saying, "Oh, that's a bit scary. Tyron Woodley, it might be a bad matchup for him." And I don't think it's really as bad of a matchup as we once thought it would be.
It wasn't a bad matchup for Rory.
Yeah. So I think 170 is the way to go. I think it makes sense as well because I think Robert Whittaker, he needs to fight in Perth next. There's no way they're bringing GSP over to Perth. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I think it makes sense just to, drop the title. Whittaker to be the undisputed champion, mate. I don't know, just whatever way they do it, and have him fight somebody else, maybe Luke Rockhold. I don't know, but 170.
Gentlemen, UFC 217 was an absolute experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. Equaled today by chatting to you guys about it.
He's so nice.
Memory lane.
He is so nice.
Brendan, I owe you a t-shirt, brother. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend.
But gents, thanks a million to two of you for taking the time to come on and recap what I think will go down in history as one of the greatest UFC cards to ever be. And it was topped, as we said at the start, it just kept getting up
to a crescendo.
And up. And Georges St-Pierre wrapped it up.
I was going to use that word, you stole it. Nice job. But, let's not be so serious, huh?
Be absolutely amazing card. Fuck it, we love MMA, and this is the reason why
we do.
This card was the reason why you love MMA. We always thought
I wanted to cry. I'm not joking. I wanted to.
We always thought if you were in a room with somebody who doesn't watch MMA, if you were in a room with somebody who doesn't watch MMA, and you said, "Look, watch this fight. This will make you love MMA."
Yeah.
This is now flipped to you don't like MMA. Watch this card.
Yeah,
and you'll love MMA.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful. I loved it. Gentlemen, absolute pleasure chatting to both of you. Thanks a million for taking the time. And let's rewatch the fight on Fight Pass and tweet another. All right, so thanks a million. And Brendan, again, congratulations. GSP is the man.
Guys.
And Darren, you're a superstar. Don't let that heart break. Bisbing is the man. I'm there with you, brother. I'm there.
Let's all cry together.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Much love, brothers.
Thanks, gents. Bye-bye. Take care. Heartbroken.
That's a weird noise, wasn't it? I never heard that before.
That was a new noise. Heartbroken, Robert. No, you know what? I said it. I'm a huge GSP fan, but I'd be a Bisbing fan. So it happened. The whole rivalry there with Brendan made me cheer more for Bisping. But delighted for GSP. Great comeback. Phenomenal performance. Let's move it on and let's get Daniel Movahedi onto referee's corner and talk all things that went haywire at UFC 217. There was some official decisions and some officials that were in the headlines. So let's get on. Daniel Movahedi. Welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and if you're watching on YouTube, you will see we are joined by the gentleman Daniel Movahedi, and this is referee's corner.
I've got a cap on today, yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, don't you start. Get out of work.
What did you? Deadly.
What?
That was a good impression.
What? I don't even watch wrestling. Dan, UFC 217 was not without controversy this weekend. So we thought we've got the best in the business. Let's get him on. So Dan, I want to talk first. We're going to go to Reddit, Dan. You put up a post on Reddit just saying that you were going to be appearing on obviously Fight Talk. So a couple of questions came in, and these are sort of everything that we wanted to ask as well. So what was your take on Walt Harris's head kick of Godbeer? Inexcusable or honest mistake? And did the referee not assert himself enough? And that comes from Caused Manatee.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask this question about where, you know, a lot of people not blaming the ref, but they were saying, oh, well, the ref should have stepped in there, etc. Like, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, it's always down to the ref, and we always seem to get the blame for it. I thought Blake Grice, the referee, done a good job. Listen, at the end of the day, when a command by a referee, i.e. time, stop, break, is shouted out, it's down to that fighter also to listen to those instructions and to those commands. You know, I'm not being funny. Walt Harris is a seasoned fighter. He knows when a referee calls time, you know, that's okay. Shit, I've got to stop. Especially when it was an accidental foul, and then when he threw that head kick, it wasn't as if he was throwing that head kick when Blake called time. You know, he called time, then he threw that head kick. You know, it wasn't halfway through the action, but, you know, for throwing that kick. So I thought, Blake was in the right place. If anything, he nearly got caught with that head kick as well, just the way as he stepped in. I thought he done a good job, and it was the right call. You know, everyone's. And the thing that annoyed me about this one is, again, like reading on social media, people going, Godbeer didn't want to fight, he wussed out and all that. But at the end of the day, first of all, it was the doctor, you know, who called it off. Let's get that clear, and obviously then end up being a DQ. You can't say what Godbeer was thinking at the time, whether he didn't want to fight or did want to fight. He wasn't feeling himself, and the doctors saw that, and they're the guys who called it. So people jumping on social media saying, he looked for an easy way out. Trust me, that was a full-on head kick, and we all saw it, you know. So I thought it was a good call. Yeah, so
with the basically afterwards, this is Black to Back asked this, a follow-up question to the first question there, Dan. Was it handled correctly afterwards, as in, is the decision right? Godbeer by DQ?
I thought so, yeah. And, you know, regardless of if it was instant replay or not, I think Blake or the referee had already made his mind up anyway. Yeah. You know, if you continue with something after you've called time or after you've called stop, and like I said, it wasn't as if he was midway through throwing that kick. He threw that kick after the referee had called time. You know, it's a hard one to call, man. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know.
Yeah. Follow up.
I thought it was the right decision.
Follow up with a different fight. Curtis Blades taking on Olenek.
Yep, Olenek.
Olenek here. This was a hard-fought fight. Two of them are going heavy. Curtis, you could argue, was having the better of it. Looked like he was on his way to winning the fight. And Olenek was on the ground. As he was getting up, Blades threw a kick that flicked the ear of Olenek. Yeah. The referee called time. I think same referee, Blake Bryce.
Yeah, he didn't have an easy night.
Yeah. So with this one, New York have adapted the replay. So once they go to replay, fight's over. Yeah. There's no coming back from it. Fight's over. So Blake went out. They had a look. He said, he clipped him, hit the ear, but came back in, and the doctor waved the fight off, saying Olenek is unable to continue. Yeah. At first, you could see Curtis Blade look like he thought, shit, I'm getting DQ'd here. Yeah. It was KO, TKO, doctor stoppage. You asked me, I asked you this in the WhatsApp question. I gave you my long-winded answer, and you didn't even reply to me, Dan.
I did. I said, great, we'll discuss it on the show.
Excellent.
True professional.
So I gave my opinion, but let's not tell people that I know everything. So, why was it called a TKO doctor stoppage and not a DQ or a no contest?
Oh, because again, let's just take it back a second. When they went back to the replay, yeah, you saw, he acknowledged, yeah, it was a kick, and you even heard the commentators going, oh, it was flick of the ear and all that. And again, going back to people jumping on the bandwagon, again, people need to realise it was the doctor who didn't let the fight continue. And then again, as a referee also, and I'm sure the doctors, the physicians sitting cage side, octagon side, will be looking up the lead up to that point as well. He would, like you said, the outcome more than likely would have been the same because he took a lot of punishment before that anyway. And it was a doctor who said he couldn't continue. And it wasn't due to that, like you said, the flick to the ear with the kick. It was due to the other damage that was done to him prior to that from the punches, the kicks, etc. And yeah, referee realised that, he knew that it wasn't due to that. That's the reason the doctor called the fight off for TKO. So yeah, that's, it's a hard one to call because I can see where people going, well, at the end of the day, he was still a down fighter and he shouldn't have thrown that kick. But that's not the reason he was unable to continue. It wasn't that made the outcome of that fight. It wasn't due to that strike.
The commentators on the call as well said that they need to look at where the kick was thrown. They were saying it's possible that he was thrown for the body because we see that an awful lot when they throw for the body while they're standing up, or while they're standing up they throw for the head because they think they're going to stand. So that's probably other things that the referee would look at as well.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and I'm glad that, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like you said, it's only not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, that New York State Athletic Commission brought in the replays, and Sod's law has it that, two things happen that they have to go to the replay thing, which I thought was used quite good, and you saw Big Dan there as well, and Mark Ratner there, so it was nice to see everyone working together and making sure that it was used in the right way.
Essentially, the Olnack one for me was like as if the fight ended, and he was in the corner and he said the doctor waved it off in between rounds. That's basically what this was.
DQ'd.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Thoughts, this is coming from Hang Me. Thoughts on Mickey Gall constantly grabbing the cage and gloves. Would you have taken a point for all those fouls?
I don't know unless I was in the cage. But yeah. I got to give it right. Listen, at the end of the day, it's down to the referee's discretion, right? Mm-hmm. But I will say this: as a fan watching it, I was getting a bit frustrated. Not because whether the referee wasn't taking a point away, but it's just like I just hate fighters who try dirty tactics. Yeah. He knows he was having fingers inside that glove, and it was bad. The one that really stood out for me, forget the fingers in the glove, is the one when he pulled himself up with the cage and went into the guillotine choke. Yeah. That for me was like, okay, you used an illegal technique or illegal rule set of holding the cage and using that to improve your position, and then he went for that guillotine. It's like, okay, you got to that guillotine point by holding that cage and trying to maneuver your position, which for me, I would have reset them back into the position they were at before that guillotine was on. So
after how many fouls, if you were just in that situation, when would you have taken a point? After how many times?
Maybe I wouldn't have taken a point. Maybe I would have called time and had a word with him and gone, look, man, I've warned you a couple of times now. Trust me, it happens again, I am taking a point away. End of. I would have had some words with him. But everyone's different.
Do you think there should be a bit more that with referees pulling fighters aside instead of just in the middle of a fight? Because I'm sure a lot of the time the fighters don't hear it. Maybe the referee says, "I'm going to warn you," but actually taking them aside.
I think he would have heard it, because if he didn't hear it, if you give a fighter a shot, take your hands out of the gloves, stop holding the gloves. If he didn't hear it, he would have just left his hands in there.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So he must have heard it for him to take them hands out of them gloves and for him to carry on. And, even his opponent was shouting to the ref or saying, look, he's holding my gloves, and that's when the referee was like, look, let go of the gloves, etc. But yeah, I've done it before, and I use you, for example, again, keep going back to Goddard, but you've seen him do it. If the illegal maneuver is done or illegal elbows thrown, he calls time and he both fires and he says to them, look, man, I'm not going to warn you again. Watch how you're picking your shots. Watch where you're landing your shots, and as the fights continue. So he makes, as a referee, you got to make sure you let the fighters know that, look, I've given you a final warning. I don't want to deduct a point, and I don't, but if I have to, I will. This is your last option.
Yeah. Woover Groover Flame will have the last question for us on Reddit. in reference to Bisping's cup issue, what is the protocol for major equipment malfunction like rips shorts, damaged gloves, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, look, and at the end of the day, as far as I know, there's nothing in the rule set saying what, so you have to come in with your mandatory stuff. So you have to walk in with your groin guard for males. Females don't have to. And obviously you have to have gloves that are being signed off by the commission. And same with the groin guard. The groin guard's got to be checked by the commission as well. Yeah. So we're, they have to make sure the cup's like not broken prior to that, prior to the fight, that the straps are all done up properly. And what was it that went wrong with his cup? It was the strap that broke.
Yeah,
correct?
It looked like the strap,
yeah.
So it was just sitting in the
shorts. So then that's no fault of. I mean, who knows? I mean, it might again. That's what I'm saying. So we don't know if the commission did check that cup, or if the string or the elasticate section was already damaged, or did it happen during the fight? Because there was no illegal blow that made that snap or the cup break, etc. So it is a malfunction. As you saw, John McCarthy just kind of put it back in and we'll deal with it how as it goes along. If it happened to me, I would have say you couldn't continue, and within that 1 minute they couldn't replace the box, etc. Then I guess it would have gone down to no contest. That being said, if it's a 5-round fight and 3 rounds have been completed and this happened in the 4th round, we could have gone to the judges' scorecards and done it that way. But again, it wasn't GSP's fault, it wasn't Bisping's fault, just something that happens, maybe going forward. I know Bellator do this with the gum shields, that fighters have to have 2 gum shields by the cage side. So if a gum shield does go out for whatever reason, it goes into outside the fighting area and you're trying to scramble, finding it, whatever, you got a second one in place. Maybe you should have 2 groin guards in place. So maybe there should be a mandatory rule set of what type of groin guard, whether it's the box goes into the shorts or you wear a slip-on cup or whatever. There's so many different groin guards out there. But again, it has to be checked. But I hope that somehow answers the question.
Yeah, just one question on that. Ultimately, is it the referee's decision to choose the result, or does he confer with the commission in that situation? Obviously, it's hard to tell because it never really happened. But who?
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would like to think that I would confer with the other referees outside as well. Yeah. But I think, like I said, if it was in a 5-round fight, obviously the fight can't continue without a groin guard. Let's put it like that. So if the fighter can't continue, but again, it's no fault of his own.
Yeah, it's weird.
Just a wardrobe malfunction, so to speak. I mean, would you do, for example, here's another one just before we go. Would you do if a woman fighter, her bra strap or her thingy snaps off? Would you do? Do you carry a second one cage side to have a wardrobe change for her to continue? It's such a grey area that no one knows. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
One final question, actually, Dan. I want to sneak it in. Joe Duffy. James Vick was stopped with 1 second to go in the second round. For me, looking at it, now I know I'm watching through Irish eyes, I appreciate that. But for me, I just felt Joe Duffy was just retaining guard. He done the knee shield, just pulling it into back into full guard. Was it stopped correctly for you? I know you will tell me. I know because I've been talking with you and working with you for so long. I know you'll tell me, number one, referees do not pay attention to how long is left on the clock. They look at the fighter's safety. See, sometimes I pretend not to know everything. But do you agree with the stoppage, or do you think maybe hindsight, he was retaining guard, that maybe he should have got to see the 3rd round?
Right at the time, I thought it was a good stoppage. And again, like you said, I say that referee. It's not down to the referee to know when. Obviously we know when the 10-second clapper goes, but we're not there to. We don't go, oh look, there's a minute left. Sorry, there's a second left. We just let it go to the next round. No, because he took a shot and he did look dazed. And who knows? Yeah, Joe Duffy was pulling guard, but again, is that just a normal reaction because he's been training that? It's just how his body works. He just goes into autopilot. He knows what he needs to do. We can't see the eyes, we can't see what the referee's seeing, but I thought it was a good stoppage. Just, it happens. I've stopped fights with like 2 seconds to 3 seconds to go, and people have gone, he could have let it go second. I'm not there to make it go second round. I'm there to protect the fighter, or should I say, we're there to protect the fighters, and the referee obviously at the time deemed that he needed to stop the fight and save any further damage or punishment to Joe.
Tell you, Danny, the busy night. But to recap, normally we throw one incident at you, but there was a lot of incidents at the UFC. A great card, great to have you to clear up any of these discrepancies in what people thought official-wise, or just to get the actual knowledge of what the commission is looking for, the referee is looking for. So as always, Dan, an absolute pleasure to chat with you, my man.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys next, Bama.
Friday.
Looking forward to it, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're flying home on Saturday?
I'm flying home on Saturday. It's my boy's birthday, so I'll be flying home.
Excellent.
Early Saturday.
Okay. Well,
I'll stay up for a cup of coffee and maybe a Guinness.
Yeah, maybe. Dan, I look forward to sitting with you and having a chat with you in person and not having to look at the Skype. And
be a pleasure.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, man. Look forward to seeing you.
Man.
Safe trips, safe travels when we see you then. Take care.
Cheers.
Daniel Movahedi.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
The gentleman by name, the gentleman by nature. He always clears stuff up. If anyone ever has any discrepancies on what they've seen or what the official ruling is, Movahedi has us covered. What? Let's move it on and wrap it up with a great guest. This is, for me, I'm looking forward to talking with this man. Rob, give me an eye. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why you were looking at me. I stopped for a minute. The Croatian sensation.
That's the screen grab, just like that. I don't know what the fuck was going on there.
The Croatian sensation, the hitman. Yeah, Luka Jelcic is getting on, an SBG fighter from Croatia. 28 years of age. This man is an absolute killer. I'm really looking forward to this interview. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Luka to Obviously Fight Talk. So, welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk, and we are delighted to say we are joined by, he mightn't be that familiar to Irish crowds, he should be. He's fought here once, but this man is an absolute killer. His last fight went viral with them elbows, Robs. Them elbows. My God. We are joined by the hitman, Luka Jelcic. Luka, thank you a million for taking the time to come on to Obviously Fight Talk.
Stop. Thank you guys for inviting me.
As I was saying there, Luka, I actually emceed your one and only fight here in Ireland at TEF. You were victorious that night as well, but it was something I was unaware of on the night as well. On that night, you offered your opponent the full purse for the fight to go down. Just explain to us what happened with that.
Yeah, well, I missed weight, so like it was first it was gonna be like 70.8. It was grand. Then they told me it was gonna be 73, so I bulked up a bit. Then I went to the States to help out Connor to finish up his camp for the first Diaz fight. Then they called me and said it's gonna be 75. So this is all done by a Brazilian guy, right?
Yeah.
Who was nice to me, but it's whatever. And I was introduced to this as a Brazilian promotion and this and that, blah, 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 whatever. And then, so I'm fighting Andre Galvao's brother at 75. So I bulked up a bit, right? I'm not, especially at that time, I wasn't that big because I just got here. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a millionaire, but at that time I was really broke. Okay, I do that, and then I come back, so it's 3 weeks out, I think. Then they call me 73 again. So I cut down like a kilo or two, and then I keep asking for my contract, and I still don't get my contract. Then 5 days out, 7 days out, I get my contract with the fight purse money, and it's it's a 5-rounder because it's a main event title fight, and you have to make 70.3. I was like, all right, dude, but that's not the same story. That's way different. And you're fighting this Polish guy. I said, okay, whoever I'm fighting, I don't care, but these other details are kind of fishy. So whatever, I try to make weight, I miss. I was 71.2 on the scales. So for a normal fight, I missed half a kilo, right? Yeah. For a championship fight, I missed 0.9. The guy didn't want to fight me. He said he won't fight me. He doesn't fight for money. That's exactly what he said. He doesn't fight for money, and that's not fair. But the story is, I came to the weigh-ins, and there's Polish flags everywhere. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And they see the promoter is the same promoter I've seen when I was here with my best friend Ivica Trušek, who fought on the Celtic Gladiator show. So it's like, this is a Polish Ryan show. So, okay, 1 + 1 is around 3, right? And I connect the dots, and, it is what it is. I missed weight, and the guy still doesn't want to fight me, and they're like, okay, 30%, right? That's what you get. No, it's still the same reason. I don't fight for money. I go, okay, give him half my purse. Like, I just want to fight. I literally need to fight. It's been a year or something, and I lost my last fight. But whatever, I just want to fight. No, still no. I go 75%, I'll give you. Just fight me. He goes, I'm not fighting for money. I said, okay, take the goddamn purse. Just take the whole purse, and that's it. Just take the purse and fight me. And then he was like, I don't know. And his corner and the promoters, thanks to them, they actually talked him into it to taking my whole purse, and he did. But I don't know what they told him then, because like an hour before the fight, they came up to me and said it's a 3-rounder. So whatever. Like to me, it doesn't represent anything. Like, I mean, if I'm walking down the road and somebody spits in my face, we're fighting. Yeah. I'm not gonna ask, is it a 5-rounder or a 3-rounder or whatever, but whatever.
Well, you didn't need 3 rounds, and you certainly didn't need 5 rounds. You got him out of there in round 1 with a beautiful choke. Moving on from that then as well, Luka, was that just, firstly, I sort of jumped ahead with talking about that fight. Was that your first fight under the SBG banner?
Yes. I had when I got here after like 5 weeks, there was the Bama show here, and I was gonna fight. I was gonna step in for Phil Mopeter, who got injured. Yeah. And then I got injured 2 weeks out. I mean, look, I was barely eating. Me and my fiance were living off of 200 euros here for months per month. So I wasn't eating much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't starving. It was mince and rice, and rice cakes and peanut butter, to be exact. Chickpeas was a feast. So yeah, I was training a lot. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to evolve. I wanted to train in SBG so much, get all this knowledge, get all these rounds. I mean, I get into the room, and there's Chris Fields, Owen Roddy. I came up to every single one of them and like, can I train with you guys? Can I do some technique with you? Can I do some pads? And I'm a big time fan, long time fan, and blah blah blah, whatever. And they were all very, very generous towards me, and still are. So they, sorry for that. They took me under the banner like really quick. They got me here feeling like part of the family. I couldn't be more thankful for that. Still to this day, nothing changed. So it's just getting better and better. So that's where it's gonna stay.
As you said, sorry.
And that's basically what happened. I got injured. My rib cage actually broke. One guy decided to drive his head into my rib cage on the wall. So whatever.
As you said, you weren't in the best of financial situations. So what was your thought process giving away the full fight purse? Because obviously conventional wisdom would say you want the money because you're not in the best situation at that time. So what was your thought process giving away the money?
Yeah, well, like I wasn't getting much anyways. You don't get much for fights outside of the bigger promotions, as you guys know. But for me, it was just putting my name out there. I'm new here, so, coming off a loss, I can't really come in here like the sheriff from Eastern Europe. Nobody knows about me, but hey, you're going to pay me this big money for the fight. So that was my thought process. I win that fight, and then I can get better fights and these bigger names, whatever they are, and that's when you get paid and you rack up sponsors. And I came here for a better life. I wouldn't mind flipping burgers. I'm just blessed enough to, not saying, not trying to offend anyone. That's a great job too. Whatever job you have these days. Yeah. But I'm just blessed enough to do what I love for a living and make my family's life better with it. So, but I wouldn't mind working anything else.
You were as well. Since then, you've gone on. You're on a 4-win streak at the moment, winning in devastating fashion, as I was saying in the intro there with them elbows. Something that I noticed as well with you on Twitter, when UFC was landing in Gdansk, was you were calling on the card. Did that come about? That was there any contact made? Even the McGregor rub, if you like, was there any contact with the UFC?
McGregor rub
sounds filthy.
What was that?
As in, the training partner of Conor McGregor, that will have its benefits in that sense,
Oh. Nah, I wouldn't even want to go by that, to be honest with you. Like, what's that, Like, if somebody deserves that, is the man who played next to him for years, Artem Lobov, So, and all the other guys, don't get me wrong, like they all, but I'm saying, like, in nowadays at this moment, all the originals, if you want to call the original SBG crew that got the name out there with John, they deserve that. Like, anyone who's been with Conor from start to finish deserves that. And my mindset coming here was, do you have a spot for me?
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I needed. A chance. And look, I'm willing to die for my goals. That's, maybe it sounds ludicrous to somebody. It sounds crazy. But I'm just not going back to what my life was before I met my fiance and before I started fighting again. And I'm not going back to that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in better. So all I needed getting here was a chance, and that's all I wanted. On me, in my head, everybody that comes here after the Mo Peters, the Roddies, the Fields, the Pendres, the Connors, the Lobovs, keep your head down. Don't try to nibble on somebody else's success. Don't, this is not a fairy tale. This is not Disneyland. You're gonna bleed. You're gonna get your head punched in, carved in. You're gonna get injured. Just prove yourself. Fight the proper way. You need to train hard, work hard every day. Shut up, keep your head down, and when the time comes, then you're gonna have the highlights, the fights, the highlights. Documentaries, whatever it is. Don't earn your stripes. Don't jump in front of the herd, because you might just get wiped out by the herd.
And what's next for you, Luka? The last fight was a title defense, as we said. Again, devastating victory. What is in the line for you next? Is there any fight news coming up?
Yeah, I'm gonna fight in December, but unfortunately I still can't talk about it. It's gonna be a great stage again. Like FFC was, like, people don't know that, but FFC is like televised in 100+ countries. It's a massive show. They're based in Vegas now. I'm used to big crowds. I'm used to hostile crowds. I fight in Chechnya in front of 15,000 people. So it doesn't really, it's nothing new to me, but it's definitely some really good news. And, just be alert, and everybody's going to find out soon. I'm very, very looking forward to fighting again. I love this, and taking that fighting and taking another step to a better life. So,
what was it that drew you towards Ireland and SBG and not somewhere else? Because there's obviously plenty of great gyms out there. What was it specifically about SBG and Ireland that drew you towards it?
Just the story about it, the way it was, it was portrayed the way it is. It was real. It was this. It wasn't, like this, I don't know, diamonds and sunshine and rainbows and this and that. I don't know. It was this misty green island with this gym that's ran by John Kavanagh, and a yellow mat with a gorilla and a bunch of savages, training in there, working hard. And then, I've seen them fight, and that's what got me into this. I wanted to be, and the mentality, just those guys, like watching 10,000 hours, a lot of the documentaries put up by Severe MMA, and hearing Owen Roddy speak, hearing Chris Field speak, and then you go into other, then you get to know other people from the team too. You kind of widen your perspective of the team, and you find out about more names, and you get more and more impressed. Gunnar Nelson is one of the people that inspired me for a long time, and I didn't even know he was connected to SBG. And then I found that out, so that was a big deal too. And just the way Gunnar thinks, and then I've listened to John's interviews too, and they all kind of had this click, this vibe that was on the same I don't know, frequency, how do you say it? And that's what impressed me. Humble, hard work, and just heavy grafters that go in there and fight till the very end.
One thing you mentioned there, Luke, at the start was the originals you mentioned. It's almost like the original Avengers, your Connors, your Cattles, your Ash, your Paddies, your Chris Fields, your Artems. But the new breed, the new generation, a roommate of yours makes his big, a long-awaited return this week at BAMA, Dylan Tuke. Just speak to us a little bit about Dylan, but also the new breed, the new era of SBG, these young and upcoming fighters. Just how good is the talent coming out of SBG?
Look, they're amazing. When I got here, that one of the things that impressed me probably the most. Like, I already knew the story of the originals, right? Of the people that started this all. Yeah. But the new breed is what kind of on top of the originals is what lit a fire under my ass. It was like if you don't, these guys are gonna squash you. Like they already were. They're still putting it on me, and you can't go in there every day and thinking your teammates are gonna be easy rounders. There are no easy rounds here, It's like they're all very technical. They have these amateur backgrounds. Like, I had 3 fights, amateur. I was never interested in not getting paid. My first fight was against a 3-0 pro who had like 2 KOs and 1 TKO, whatever. 8 years older than me, and whatever. It was a wild time. Soccer kicks, elbows. It was fun. But these guys are fighting amateurs. They have like Tommy Martin has like 17 amateur fights or 18. My strength and conditioning coach, Mark Comiskey, I didn't know. Like, he's a quiet guy. They're all very humble and quiet. And I literally have to like dig for info. My strength and conditioning coach has like 14 amateur fights, and he's 3-0 as a pro. So what the hell? I didn't know that for half a year. The guy was fighting for SBG. They're like, I had some amateur fights. I had these couple of pro fights. It's madness, man. Like, just looking at the whole amateur scene, especially in our gym, like, I don't know, man. They're not amateurs to me. Yeah. I'm telling you, these lads could wipe out half the pro rankings. It's started kind of being like boxing, like amateur boxing, Olympic boxing, where these young fellows have a ton of fights, and then they go to the pro rankings, and then they get to the UFC or Bellator or I don't know, whatever there's out there, KSWs and the Rising and whatever. You see them getting there with like 5 fights, 6 fights, 7 fights, and wiping people out, and that's very impressive, very, very impressive.
As the trainer,
it definitely is the new breed. I have to agree with you there. The exact term would be the new breed.
With again, we had Dylan on the show last week, and that's how we got in touch with you. You shared it, and I was like, when are we getting you on? But with Dylan coming back, we're excited to see Dylan, one of the most exciting young fighters in the country. But what are we expected to see, Luka, and Dylan now? It's been almost a year. What improvements can we expect?
Well, I remember the first question you asked me too, on top of that one, so I'll start from there. But Dylan's the first person to actually greet me on the SBG mats, like the very first one. I was sitting, I came in for class, and I talked to John. And he invited me to look at the kickboxing sparring session. And it was I remember Sinead Kavanagh. She was sparring this girl, and she whooped her ass. Like, literally whooped her. I don't know who she is or whatever. I've never seen her again. And then her boyfriend jumped in. Like, the next round, like, he's gonna go easy on Sinead and, like, kind of, school her or something, whatever his plan was. It fell through very fast. Like, that woman can kick ass, man.
Yeah.
She put it on him too, and I remember Dylan saying something as in, like, somebody, like, she's out of control, put a leash on her or something, and smiling, and she smiled back, and I really liked that moment. And Dylan looked at me and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "Holy shit." I said, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "Back, what am I gonna say?" I just got here. So I met him straight away. I watched him move and was very, very impressed. Then I moved around with him. We never really did a hard spar, me and him. Yeah. I don't know. We just clicked straight away. And I was very impressed. I was like, this is the most intimidating 18-year-old I have ever seen in my life, How do they let this kid fight other kids, It's not, I hope he's fighting some adults, because that, it's kind of, it is dangerous to a certain degree. It's fighting. And this one's nasty, everything he did was simply, like, technically very sound, very aware, but at the same time very, very, I don't know, violent, nasty, call it what you want. So, from that time, I think he had his debut at that time. Now, comparing him now to that time, he's way more mature. Obviously, like, that's very logical. He was 18, so, or 19. But very mature in a way of being aware of who he is, who he truly is, what he needs to, what is, he always, don't get me wrong, like, this kid always had, he was always aware of what's righteous, what's not, what's real, what makes you happy, what truly makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, all that stuff, he's always been real, and he still is. I'd say he just evolved through this, let's call it time off. It's not really time off. I had almost a 3-year time off. I think time off, especially after his last 2 fights, he needed it in a way of just thinking about life in general. Like, look, boxers turn pro when they're 30, right? Yeah. Is it, like, I think they're around 30, like 28, 28, they go like, oh, this new prospect and this and that. Like, look, I'm 28 and a half. I feel like a grandpa, Like, boxers turn pro when they're 30, and my boxing coach always told me, where's the rush? Like, you want to be pro so bad, like, you're fighting these grown men, and you want to go pro, and you want to collect money, and you, what do you want? I was just saying, I just want a house. I want a house and a family, and money's gonna get me that, and prize fighting is what I love, and 1 + 1, why not get the love and the passion with a profession, put it all together under one roof. But he was always saying 30 years old, like, that's when you go for it. Until then, like, stick to the shadows a bit. Don't be in a rush. That's when you put the pedal to the metal. That's when you're mature. That's when you're a man. So, and these young guys, like James Gallagher too, at this point, he has an injury. Like, a couple of young lads, suffer injuries, and it is bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't want it for anyone. Yeah. On the other hand, it's good in a way. You really dig deep and you really find out, why are you doing this? You go back to the reasons. Why are you doing this? When you're sitting at home, broke to bits, you have nothing, literally nothing, And then you stop and say, oh, okay, well, what am I missing here, Plain and simple. You love it. You love to fight, That's what you need. That's what you want. It's not like what you like the reasons. If you come in for this with reasons, I think reasons of stardom, of being famous. So that comes with it.
Yeah.
And that will bring you more cash. That's the only difference. In my head, the more recognition, the more people know your name, is gonna bring you more cash.
Your coach said you look at 30 is when you put your foot to the metal. So you're 28 and a half, you were saying. Is 2000 like you're going to be fighting in December now? Is 2018 the year that everybody's going to know your name?
Look, to be honest with you, if I was fighting every day in a backyard and I was getting paid and nobody knew my name, I'd do it. I do it rather that way than this way. Unfortunately, we live in an age that we live.
Yeah.
And, that's the way it works. You have to know how to play the game. And, I won't sell myself. I'll always be myself. I don't care what the game is. But you can mold it into, the maximum extent of playing the game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And as long as you...
so you were just saying, sorry, Luka, we just lost connection with you there. So you were just saying 2018, you were saying about fighting, you do it if it was in the backyard or whatever. But by that I mean, you're making these statements in the cage or ring cage. You've been like your last 4 fights all ended in the first round. So what I mean by that is this the year that the breakout's going to happen, that everybody is going to know your name because of what you're doing in the cage?
Yeah, I mean, look, this year, next year, this month, next week, tomorrow, an hour, I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just try to. Not try, man. I love every second of my life. I never thought I was gonna make it this far. To be honest with you, I have a great life. I love my fiance. I love my family. I love my lifestyle. My passion is in fighting, and my job is in fighting. Like to this day, and still, this is what truly makes me happy. And what's gonna happen tomorrow, I don't know. Look, there might maybe a plane crashes in here and wipes me off the face of the earth.
Let's hope
I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think like that. For me, my next fight is the last day of my life.
Yeah.
Before I go into the cage, I kiss my fiance. She goes out of the locker room, and for me, I might never see her again. Listen, call me crazy or whatever you want, but that's the way I think. This is not a game with me. This is every inch of a better life I can have.
Well, look, I have to say, I had the honour of calling your name here. I hope it's not the last time that I get to introduce you. Joe Rogan used an expression called a ballet of violence. And that is certainly what I describe your fighting style as. If nobody has seen you fight, I urge you, I encourage you just to type in Luka's name on YouTube and look at this man's fights. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Obviously Fight Talk. I look forward to it. The news of your fight in December, but I look forward to watching the fight in December as well.
Oh, thank you very much for everything, guys. Really appreciate it, and every bit you guys do for us fighters is very much appreciated by me.
Appreciate that.
I'll be, it's not just people kind of go off on the media, and it's everything's done by the fighters, and we're the ones that fight. And without interest, without people that appreciate the work we do, let's put that word in, there wouldn't be us. So I'm very thankful for every second you have for me.
Cheers.
So thank you for that. And thank you for every single person supporting this sport.
Cheers, my man. And for this will be the first, but it certainly will not be the last time.
Absolutely.
Luke will be on Obviously Fight Talk. So, my man, enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks a million for stopping by.
You too. Take care.
Cheers, my man.
Bye-bye.
Whew, that's been episode 88, and I don't know, sometimes, Rob, when you record these things, you just get a feeling. I absolutely love this episode. I really did.
Yeah, and I love this MMA stuff.
It's all right. I think it could catch on.
I think
this could catch fire. This MMA stuff.
People will like it.
But a big thank you to all our guests. Luka, thanks a million for taking the time to come on. Daniel Movahedi in referee's corner. Darren Russell to recap alongside Brendan Dorman. The two of them on screen. Rob, thank you.
Thanks, Noel.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Robert.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you to 5-Star Ireland, the fighter's choice. Everything you need under two roofs. MMAmix.com. They're obviously good because they're with, obviously, Fight Talk. And, of course, feelsupreme.co.uk for your CBD oil, many organic and natural supplements and whole foods. And if you want 10% off, just use air code FightTalk at the checkout. You get that 10% off. Rob, I feel emotionally drained from the weekend.
No, so do I. Like, Phil Davis was just breathtaking.
Well, I'm exhausted and I'm going to have trouble sleeping, so I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch the Phil Davis fight.
Phil Davis is a fantastic fighter.
Mr. Wonderful. Wonderful for curing insomnia. This has been 88. I've been Noel. He's been Rob. You've been you. Hit subscribe, motherfucker! Jesus, do you want after that? 88 out.